Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
Hey!
My special guest, Kaye Lazar, as
Thank you,
always.
as always.
Amen. All right.
I'm so special that every week you ask me back, and
Yes.
I'm back.
Yes. Yes.
I wow, what can I say? It's been a wild week for
Right.
me. Let's see. I hurt my ankle last week, and I got to tell you something. I put on basically it was I tripped because I didn't have the light on, the
Right.
porch light, so I
Uh-huh.
put it up on the internet that have your porch light on in the middle of the night when you leave the
Yeah.
house.
Be
but
careful, everybody.
but the thing was, and a rainstorm,
Right.
and it was I don't want to go into details of it, but what happened was I put it on the internet, and so many of my friends and people were saying how nice, how happy they were that I turned out all right and everything.
Right.
But the thing was that I have to admit now it wasn't a plea for sympathy. I didn't want people to feel sorry for me. I
Yeah.
just did it to tell people, put your lights on when you leave that. Don't be so dumb like I was.
Yeah.
And if it costs, the extra 10 cents in
Right.
electricity, do it.
Yeah.
So this week, I went to the dentist.
Uh-huh.
So not because of my foot. That'd be weird to go to
Right.
the dentist because you have a bad foot.
Right. Right.
I went to the dentist and I had a little bit of a toothache, which I kind of still do. But the dentist said that he gave an X-ray of my teeth and he
Right.
said that they look fine. So
Mhm.
it's not because of my teeth. I don't
Right.
know what caused it, but I looked it up on the internet and they said that as you get older, your gums recede.
Wow.
Now you might notice it in the front, but you don't usually notice it in the back. See, I guess
Mhm.
in the front I look all right,
Right.
but in the back they must be really receded,
Right.
and the nerves are very
Mhm.
open, and they can heal themselves. You just got to get the. He gave me some nice
Mhm.
toothpaste, the one that's sensitive on your teeth. I basically use like that.
Yeah.
I basically use like lava soap on my teeth. Gets all the sores off your hands. Well, I
Right.
basically use that to brush my teeth. And he said that's a little too
Right.
rough though. The
Right.
the uh, the toothpaste that's
Yes.
peppermint flavor, so
Yes. Yes.
so oh, this is what I wanted to tell you about going to the dentist. This is the first time I went to the dentist in 2 years.
Wow.
Well, I mean, last year you couldn't go anyway
Mhm.
because of
Yeah.
the pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
A friend of mine, he told me, who is a dentist. He told me that are you open yet? He goes, no, dentistry is going to take a long time. This is 2020 for dentist office are open again. And I said, why is that? And he said, because dentistry is a very messy job. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, you can take all these precautions with masks and gloves and everything, but if you notice it, you basically the job of being a dentist is sticking your hands in people's mouths all day.
Right.
I mean, how clean can that be?
Yeah.
No matter
Right.
how good you do it.
Right.
And he said, and then you use the drill, and then you're just constantly spitting and now rinse and now spit and rinse, and it's pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
It's the one job. It's the one job I'm glad. I don't care how much education you need for it. It's one
Right.
job I'm glad I don't have.
Right.
Dentists. Let me tell you
Yeah.
about dentists. No matter how good a dentist is,
Mhm.
nobody likes to see him. I don't know if a dentist has any friends or anything. You're happy when they, do a
Mhm.
good job,
Right.
but you wish you'd never had to go to them or anything. And
Right.
no matter how old you get, you sooner or later you're gonna have problems with your teeth. Sooner or later. I mean, I had a lot of problems with my teeth as a kid. How about you? Do you have cavities and stuff,
I never
braces, or
had any cavities. To my surprise.
never cavities? You have
Never
no
cavities.
fillings?
No.
Didn't you eat candy and soda
I
like the rest
did.
of us?
Yes, I did. But I guess my mom helped me take care of my teeth through the years. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that was good.
Right.
We had
But they the dentist did say one time that I haven't been brushing that I wasn't brushing my teeth good enough. So,
yeah,
but I did have cavities, which is really weird. So
yeah. Well, you have one thing that's kind of neat about your teeth is you get one shot at them
yeah.
that you can mess them up all you want, and
Right.
then you get a second set.
Uh-huh.
You better not mess up those. And I really just tore it up the
Right.
first set I was given.
Right.
I had I had a dentist when I was a kid. I only had the one dentist, and my
Right.
mother took me to him. And I didn't realize how unethical it was. He actually would drill out the old fillings and put in
Right.
new fillings.
Wow.
Now, once the fillings are there, they should be there forever. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I opened my mouth once recently. Your fillings are different. They're not metallic anymore.
Uh-huh.
They're like they look like kind of like they look like your teeth, kind of
Right.
plasterish.
Right.
So I open my mouth and you see all this metal in the back of
Right.
my
Yeah.
and my younger family members said, What? You have a mouthful of metal." I said, Can you go through like a metal detector at the
Wow.
at the airport with that belt?" So oh man, I can tell you all about teeth. Uh, so I uh, so I had a pretty rough time with teeth.
Right.
I think once I had 6 cavities,
Mhm.
and at the same time, so but then when I lost all my teeth and they all grew, and you remember having to have them pulled and the tooth
Yeah.
fairy and all that stuff, that was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't worth the 10 cents or 25 cents I got for my teeth.
Yeah. Yeah.
The tooth fairy. What a concept.
Yeah.
So what happened was, I hadn't been in 2 years, and for some reason I kind of slacked off last year, and then or the year before, and then this year, and then finally I got a little tooth. I said I better go to the dentist. So I went to my dentist, and dentistry is. Oh, let me tell you, my mom. I come from a big family, and my mom did not like paying like in those days like $50 for every filling we needed. When you're a kid, that all multiplies, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're one kid, it's one thing, but if you have like 5 kids, like my family, so my mom gave us a merit system that she would give us. Um, oh yeah, she would give us $1 if every time we went to the dentist we didn't have to get fillings, and that actually was a pretty good deal because then I had an incentive to take better care of my teeth. And my
Right.
sister got so mad because she was basically getting fillings all the time and not getting dollars. My mom swore us all to secrecy to the dentist. So don't tell the dentist that I'm giving you this dollar if you don't get fillings, because then he'll find a way to give you a filling. My mom
Right.
always thought the worst of people.
Right. Right.
Everyone was unethical and everyone was a
Yes.
crook.
Yes.
And so I know, yeah, I didn't want to. I wanted to keep that pipeline going.
Right.
$1.
Right. Right.
I knew a kid who got $1 for if he got straight A's. No, he got $100 if he got straight A's, and like $10 for every A he got. I said, "Boy, that's great." I asked my mom if she would do that. She goes, "Hell no." I expect you to get good grades. I'm not rewarding you for good grades.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, dentistry. People know about
Yeah.
George Washington and the wooden teeth. Everyone had bad teeth in those days. And when okay, so I made this movie called John Adams, and I've told the story before how they cruddied up our teeth as extras. Someone went after we were wearing our powdered wig and everything
Yeah.
with makeup, like a special tooth makeup to grime up our teeth because
Yeah.
nobody had nice teeth in those days.
Yeah.
And the real actors, the guy who played George Washington, David Morse, he had actually a whole thing to make his teeth look kind of fake.
Wow.
And so did John Adams, played by Paul Giamatti.
Mm.
And I said, Paul Giamatti is wearing one of those things. He goes, yeah, John Adams evidently the second president, actually had worse teeth than George Washington.
Mm.
And by the time he died in 1826,
Right.
his teeth were so painful that he
Wow.
almost committed suicide. It was just painful just hearing this,
Mm.
when you have
Oh yeah.
when you have teeth pain, it's like the worst pain because you can't even, and it actually affects how you think. It's
Mm.
almost like
Yeah.
having somebody whack you in the side of the mouth while you're trying to, do your homework or
Wow.
trying to
Yeah.
drive a
Yeah.
car or something. Yeah. All these stories about dentists. Um, there's a famous episode of Seinfeld where they have the highest of all your professions. Dentists have the highest suicide rate,
Mm.
and the reason why is there's a lot of reasons. One is they're like a lot of doctors they can get drugs pretty easily and stuff. But the thing and painkillers very easy. But the
Yeah.
thing is that I think a lot of them has to do with self-esteem. Like I said, nobody likes to see the dentist. Everyone's mad at the dentist, even when he does a good job. I had a friend who actually ran out of the dentist office with all that stuff on her.
Mm.
And marrying a dentist. Oh, can you imagine being married to a
Oh
dentist or living
boy,
a? I
yeah.
mean, he would constantly or she would constantly look at your teeth and say, you're not flossing enough." And you can't really lie to a dentist. Oh, I take good care of my teeth, and then yeah, well, I could tell by the all this crud that's coming out when I floss them for you.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
that I said, do you really need? I actually said to a dentist, not the one I have now, but all my dentists have been pretty good as an adult. Um, I asked this dentist, do you do you, I said to him, do you, how did I say this? I do you really have to go to a dentist? Is there any chance you could just take care of your teeth and with good luck,
Mhm.
not have to go to a dentist? And he said that, well, you could floss and you could brush and you could, stay away from sugary foods and stuff. But um, that tartar or the plaque that occurs in the front of your teeth, um, you can't really get to that. A dentist, a third party, has to have that pick
Right,
and pick at it. Your
right.
mouth is all bloody by the
Oh
time it's all
wow,
finished. But he
right.
said that's why you go there once every 6 months to the dentist, is because you have to get that done.
Mm.
But I said, but if you could, you could probably get away with probably several years not going to a
Right,
dentist.
right,
The older you get, though, I think the more likely you're going to go to a dentist.
right.
When I was a kid, almost every adult, I mean, not adult, but grown up, had false teeth. And your grandparents, forget about it. Polident, and I used to use Pepsodent, and now I use
I
Polident.
think my grandmother had false teeth
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, I know so many people with false. I actually currently know a lot of people with false
Yeah.
teeth, and people younger than me, and just bad. I mean, just and no fault of their own, periodontal disease. My dad had periodontal, lost all his teeth before he was 30, and whereas a couple, but he doesn't. He's wearing dentures all my life. Oh, he when I was a kid, I thought it was kind of magical how he could take his teeth out and put it back in. I couldn't do that.
Mm.
So once I woke up in the middle of the night, went to the bathroom. I was just a little boy, like 4 years old, and I grabbed his dentures in my hand and wake up. And he goes, "What do you want?" I said, "Oh, here's your mouth." That's a famous story in my family,
Yeah.
uh, you know. And so and yeah. Oh, by the way, like when you watch, and I always say this, like the cowboy movies,
Yeah.
like when you see Robert Redford and Paul Newman and like Butch
Yeah.
Cassidy, and they both have nice shiny teeth. And forget
Yeah.
about it, they didn't have shiny teeth, and nobody did in those days.
They had false teeth.
They didn't either. They had false teeth or they had just really bad looking mouths,
Yeah.
full of like headstones in their mouth.
Yeah.
Doc Holliday was a dentist. That's why he was a doctor. And they didn't and they um I mean, you see them in the cowboy movies and stuff, or even
Right.
any movie, period movie. They just
Right.
pull your tooth. They didn't save your tooth.
Right.
I when I lived in Ireland, I lived there for a few years, and my mom said, whatever you do, don't go to the dentist in Ireland. They have the worst dentistry there. Wait to go back to America. Even if you make a trip to America, I never made a trip to America. I just moved back.
Yeah.
So while I was there, I was always there. So when you go back, the first thing you do is go to a dentist. Last thing you do, leaving America, and the first thing you do, go America. They actually try to save teeth.
Yeah.
And but there they, you know what else you notice in Europe that well, maybe now it might be different, but the big difference between American teeth and European teeth is that um, most people today our age have pretty nice teeth, straight teeth, but they're the same people your age. They may still have their teeth, but they're all crooked because they didn't have dentist braces were not a thing. Braces were not a thing. I never had
Mm.
braces. My teeth. Actually, I've been very lucky with my teeth,
Yeah.
and
Me too.
and my mom told me always have the last word on your teeth because I went to a dentist when I was, I think, 17, and that's about the time they want to yank your wisdom teeth
Oh,
out.
wow.
18. I still have my wisdom teeth.
Yeah. Me too.
And yeah, and they said whatever, yeah. Here the wisdom. I wish all my wisdom is in my teeth. I wish it was in my brain. But
Oh.
what's funny is that you I so he wanted to take my wisdom teeth out. So my mom says, "Do your wisdom teeth hurt?" And I said, "No." Then don't get them out. Wait for them to hurt. And then I found out that during that time that was a real scam with dentists, is that they would take your almost at a certain age they would automatically take your wisdom teeth out whether you needed them or not. And I was one of those people that they needed it or I didn't need it out.
Yeah.
But it didn't cause it's very hard for your wisdom teeth to go in very well. I had
Right.
like terrible not toothaches, but you know that it's almost like a tree growing in your mouth,
Oh yeah.
and every little bit, every little centimeter it goes up, it
Right.
hurts,
Yeah.
or knocks against another tooth. And
Mhm.
I years later, actually, hate to admit it was a long time between dentistry trips. Once I went 17 years without, and they said I thought, oh, I actually weathered the storm. I didn't need my wisdom teeth out. And then I had a toothache, and they said, we're going to have to save one of your teeth. He says, your wisdom teeth? He goes, yeah, it's your wisdom teeth. He goes, why? He goes, well, it's not all there. I said, what do you mean it's not all there? He said, you swallowed half of it. I don't remember
Oh.
ever swallowing. Was I
Really.
eating like rock candy? And just, so half of it was gone, and he just kind of shored it up and still
Mhm.
have it.
Wow.
And
Okay.
the joke I always give is the only celebrity in Hollywood with more teeth than me is Mr. Ed. Well, anyway, they have the highest suicide rate, Dennis. And Jerry Seinfeld said that no wonder it's so hard to get an appointment. It's a very funny episode. Check it out with
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston
Yeah.
and as the dentist who
Yes.
went on for Breaking
Right.
Bad and
Yeah.
everything. And so always have the last word on your teeth.
Right.
I like to think the show you do is very educational
Yes.
to you.
I love being educational.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the I wonder what happened like, during like these hurricanes and stuff when
Oh
people get
yeah.
in all these troubles
Oh yeah.
I mean, can you imagine like if there was a disaster like a flood or a hurricane or an
Yeah.
earthquake
Yeah.
and then, it's bad enough having the doctors are always busy when you have
Right.
a hangnail or something
Right.
and then you're losing your house and everything
Yeah.
and like the people who lived in New Orleans must have
Yeah.
had it really
No.
rough. Yeah.
Yeah. And some of them couldn't evacuate, so they had to stay at the Superdome.
Oh man, remember that? Yeah.
Yes, and there was a lot of stuff going on when they were staying there.
Yeah.
There were like, I think robberies, assaults, everything.
I heard it was like it was almost like a prison almost.
Yeah.
The way people were behaving and
Yeah.
families were like in the corner. There's a corner to the Superdome.
Yeah.
And I was in New Orleans only once, and I saw the Super, but I didn't. Was it? When was it? This was back in the 2000s.
Uh huh.
Yeah, I was there before that, and so I don't know. I know that they said when it when all the people left, and then when they came back, not all the people came back
Yeah.
because they had there was a lot of corruption going on
Oh yeah.
in that thing. There was the levees weren't right. They cut corners. The place, Louisiana's famous, especially New Orleans, for being under sea level.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like a ice tray. Like
Yeah.
it all just once it rains, it all fills up all the,
Yeah.
and so it's susceptible to floods. Fine
Wow.
when it's not raining,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever been to New Orleans?
No, I haven't, but
No.
I heard it's pretty nice out there.
Oh yeah, it's the
Yeah.
close. It's the only city in America that's really is different from all the other cities.
Right. Right.
And most cities aren't all that different. But New Orleans, I mean, the dress is different.
Uh
I
huh.
mean, the outfits, the
Yes.
food is different, the
Oh
clothes
wow.
are. It's almost the
I like
clothes.
the music.
It's
Yeah.
closest thing to being I guess a European style
Right.
city.
Yeah.
In fact, somebody joked, "Don't think of New Orleans as an American city. Don't think of it as an American city in the South. Think of it as a northern city in Central America."
Wow.
because it has that all those cultures and everything, and the food's very spicy. They eat almost
Yeah.
anything there.
Oh yeah.
They eat almost anything there because a lot of the culture has no problem with
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
the Acadians from Canada became
Mm.
the Cajuns,
Mm.
and then you had the what was the Creoles.
Oh wow.
They
Yeah.
come from
Yes.
I don't know where they come from, but they come from like the Caribbean.
Right.
And then you had oh you Harry Connick is from New Orleans,
Oh okay.
and a lot of famous people, a lot of
Yeah.
jazz people are from New Orleans, and he I made a movie with him, and we were talking. He was saying that a lot of people think he's from New York because he has like a New York accent like that. And I
Yeah.
said the reason why they think you're from New York is that a lot of those people from Dublin, the D's, Dems, Does, they call them people. They moved. A lot of them moved to Liverpool, where the Beatles
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
from, and they had that sort of the same accent, a very
Yeah.
charming accent,
Yeah.
regionalized, more charming than the London accent in
Yeah.
England. And these Dems, Does, and a lot of them moved to New York, and a lot of so where you have that Brooklyn accent. Then you
Right.
have and then they moved to Canada, and they had the same. They had the Acadian accent. Then they moved
Mm.
to New Orleans, and
Mm.
all you have like 5 cities here
All
with almost
right.
a similar speech pattern.
Mhm.
And Harry Connick told me he didn't know that.
Oh okay.
So, oh, that explains everything.
All right.
I only spoke to him for a few minutes, and that's all I said. I spoke to him about. He was talking to
Oh.
somebody else. If I have a word to say with you, Harry.
Right. Yeah.
I'd actually met him twice. Once after one of his shows, and once during a movie,
Mm.
and that's when I got to talk to him a bit. And I got my picture taken with him that time.
Okay.
So we'll put that in
Yeah.
the thing.
I like Hurricane Jr. too. So.
Harry Connick, very good.
Yeah.
Who's Harry Connick Senior? Nobody knows.
I have no idea.
Harry Connick Senior I think he's still alive. He is the former district attorney of New Orleans,
Oh okay.
and he was sort of famous in New Orleans, but
Okay.
nowhere else. He was just a little boy. He was this
Yeah.
prodigy
Yeah.
playing
Right.
music.
Yeah.
So Harry Connick Jr. Oh, that's Harry Connick Sr. who's father there. So and his Catholic, and then his mother was Jewish. His mother died, and so he's just like me, has two cultures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Harry Connick, though Harry Connick always comes up with these albums that have this like New Orleans kind of funky music and stuff, and
Yeah.
some type of
Yeah.
edge to them. But I tend to like just the old time jazz Gershwin type music he
Right.
plays.
I like all kinds of music.
Yeah,
You know.
but Harry Connick is so my dad started getting into Harry Connick, and
He started at a very young age.
oh, he was like when even when he kind of made it, he was only 25 years old. You're right.
Yeah.
He wrote them. He didn't write the music, but he played all the music. And when Harry met Sally, that's when most
But
people have heard of him.
he performed way back when he was like 12 or something.
Yeah, in New Orleans. Yeah,
Yeah, just like Stevie Wonder started at 12 years old.
yeah. But
Same
Stevie
thing.
Wonder was famous, though. I mean,
Right.
he was already kind of
Yeah,
famous
I
when
know.
he was 12 with
Yeah.
fingertips and everything.
Right.
And so Harry Connick was so he was like the musical guest on Saturday Night Live, and my dad was watching. I think John Goodman was the host, and my dad, we both are friends of John Goodman, and so we were excited to see Harry Connick.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd met Harry Connick at that point, and so my dad says that Harry Connick's pretty good. Does he have a lot of hits? I said he has no hits. Are you might like him playing Cole Porter and Gershwin, but the youth of the day, he's kind of an old man in a young person's body. Harry Connick. A lot of people have come since then, like
Yeah.
Harry Connick, like Michael
Right.
Bublé and stuff. But
I like him.
they're all good,
Yeah.
and they're all good. John Pizzarelli and stuff.
Right.
But I always think of, for some reason, I always think of Harry Connick as being
Right.
the first guy like that, when actually he's the last guy like that. He's the oldest of the young guys singing jazz, and he's the youngest of the old guys singing jazz.
Right.
The Frank Sinatras, the Dean
Right.
Martin and stuff.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
can you imagine being stuck in? Speaking of New Orleans, being stuck in that Superdome?
I know. I couldn't stand it.
It sounded like there was like bedlam everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I heard.
like you were like, and there was like almost no. I don't think there were policemen. I mean, there might have been, but it was like how many people were there? Probably 20,000 people.
Yeah, something like that.
Probably more than that. There's only I know there's 20,000 seats. They probably were
Right.
shoving people everywhere. Yeah,
Right.
and with the Superdome, no, it was more than that. It was Superdome was a football stadium.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a basketball stadium because
Right.
there's a dome on it.
Yeah.
I've seen the Superdome,
Yeah.
and I've
I
never
heard
been
it
in a
was a
dome.
complete mess.
Yeah.
And then they remodeled it like a year later, and then they called it the Mercedes Benz.
Well, they hosed it down is basically what they did. Trouble is, they the devastation in these stadiums and stuff.
Yeah.
They're kind of scary. Like if you've ever like tripped in going up the steps in a like Madison Square Garden or any of
Yeah.
these places,
Yeah.
you're always afraid you're just going to just tumble down
Right.
off the balcony.
Right.
I'm sure people did in the day.
Yeah.
I've always been terrified that someone would get mad at me and push me over the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That
Imagine
happened
that.
to, in a funny way, it happened on The Simpsons to
Homer.
Flanders' wife. That's how she
Oh.
died.
Okay.
She's still dead.
Okay.
I think he was a hot dog guy and he was throwing them at everybody,
Oh
and
yeah.
he threw them at her and she like reached over and just went over the side. Yeah, funny,
Yeah.
a hilarious way to kill
Yeah.
off a character,
Yeah.
falling to their death.
Yeah.
And the closest thing we have to, I guess, a dome here in Richmond is the Richmond Coliseum.
Yes. I've seen a lot of things there.
Yeah, what have you seen there?
The circus. The
Oh,
regular,
I've been to the
the
circus.
regular Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus when it was in town, and I saw the Wizard of Oz live,
Hmm.
and I saw Reba McEntire. What else did I see? Sesame Street
Yeah.
live, and all that other good stuff.
The first thing I remember when it opened was,
I
because I
used
remember when it was open. Yeah.
I used to go to the circus every year
Yeah.
when I was
Oh,
little.
the circus was actually a lot of these places they made all their money from the circus,
Yeah.
and if this actually happens in even New York. This actually was a serious thing in New York.
Yeah.
Was when the basketball team or the hockey team made the
Yeah.
finals.
Right.
They actually had to move the venue to I think Toronto in the case of New
Oh,
York
okay.
Rangers
Yeah.
because the circus was in town
Oh.
and they already had an ironclad contract that they couldn't because they didn't count on the team having their playoffs there, and they said we're not going to cancel the circus for the sports team, and the reason why is the circus makes us pretty much pays our bills for most of the months. I mean, so we got to have the circus.
Yeah.
They do like 4 or 5 shows a day, and they sell out almost every show.
Yeah.
The circus
Yeah.
in the day, and so I saw a lot of circuses. I saw when I remember when it first opened the Coliseum. This was back in 1971. Their main attraction, the first main attraction they had was Holiday on Ice,
Oh
the
yeah.
Ice Capades, but I didn't get a chance to see it because, to be honest with you, I wasn't really that excited to see it.
Right. Right.
But the hockey games, the basketball games, the Virginia Squires, the Richmond Robins, and I can't remember the first concert I saw there. Uh, oh, I know it. Must have been the Neil Diamond.
Oh
Neil
yeah.
Diamond saw it, and I couldn't believe they had all the seats on the floor over the ice rink. They put boards on. I actually saw them do that once. They actually had a basketball game at the Coliseum. You could buy a ticket and see both of them. See
Right.
the VCU basketball game, and then there was like maybe a half hour or an hour between the things, and they put up all these boards and then put
Right.
in all these seats within an hour, and then had all these people come in
Wow.
and see the concert, which was the Beach Boys, which I was really there to see. Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
so I've seen almost every major performer that came to Richmond in the day went to the Coliseum. And trouble is when you build a lot of these things, there's always talk about getting rid of it and everything. I don't know any
Yeah,
plans,
it's a lot of rumors going around.
but as
So.
soon as you build one of these these
Right.
arenas,
Right.
they're almost always obsolete right away because
Right.
down the next town builds something bigger or something better, and then the Bruce Springsteen or whoever it is or the Beach Boys or whoever who's the big Kanye West plays there. He doesn't want to play it when it only sells 20,000 or 10,000 when the other place sells 15,000.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Right.
So they're almost always
Yeah.
obsolete. They're not really good at for concerts for the most part. They're better than they used to be. But I remember seeing some show in the Actually, I think it was Disney on Parade.
Hmm.
You couldn't hear a word. The everything was like in a, it's like singing or talking to a fan.
Right.
And then we moved to a different part, and then we could hear better. It's strange how
Right.
that works.
I
See, if
know.
you go to a theater, you
Yeah.
could all the sound comes from one direction, and the acoustics are much better in
Yeah.
that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like when I went to the circus.
Yeah.
You could hear the music really loud.
Hmm.
Like when they introduced, the stars and all that.
Yeah.
You could hear a big boom,
Yes.
and then they'll announce so and so and so and so. Yay!
And now
Yeah.
for your approval, the strongman,
Yeah.
the roustabout on the motorcycles, the
Yay!
world's tallest midget.
Woo! Yeah.
Working
So,
a circus must have been a lot of fun. But but all that travel and seeing the world and everything,
yeah.
and it wears on people. So they
Right.
always eventually have to leave the circus. But what's the old joke about joining the circus? The guy is gets a kid gets a job working at the circus,
Yes.
and he goes to the doctor because he's developed a lung disease,
Yeah.
and they said the doctor says, "What is it?" He goes, "It's a strange disease. You can only get it in Africa or Asia, and you seem to have gotten it." He goes, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, you can only get it from elephant dung, and you must have inhaled a lot of the,
Oh
elephant
wow.
dung." He goes, "Where do you work?" He goes, "Well, I work in the circus."
Wow.
He says, "Well, what do you do at the circus?" Well, he says, I shovel after the elephants. That's what I do." I
Yeah.
said, "That's how you got the job." So the guy's,
Yeah.
that's how you got this disease. So the guy says, "Well, what do I do?" And the
Mhm.
doctor says, "Well, it's very simple. You have to quit your job shoveling the elephant dung at the circus."
Right.
And
Yeah.
the kid says, "What?
What?
And give up show business?" The old joke. That's the old joke.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So we're gonna take a little break, intermission. So I will see y'all half an hour.